Hey everyone, this is Knogat, and I just wanted to give you a quick deck profile of my current Dracotail list. I am experimenting with a lot of lists right now. This so far has felt the best, and I've been asked about the deck list on Twitter and in the comments, so I just thought I'll share my current state with you and talk about some theory behind it. So let's hop into the main deck, and it's just very simple. 3 Lucias, obviously, 3 5 mana. I don't think I have to talk about these on 3. Mululu at 3, sometimes people think about cutting it. Do not do that. This is such an important resource. Not just as a starter. The starter thing is fine, but it's just like the non-target negate is also so good. You kind of want to have fusion targets for 5 mana that also impact the board. And this card is also a card on the field that does something sometimes, so do not cut this down. And then for the other names, we have 1 Urgula, 1 Pan. You can up these ratios of these. I don't hate going 2 Urgula or 2 Pan just because they are good in the grind, but in this particular list, we need the deck space, so we are at 1 and 1. And then for the spells, obviously 3 of the Kitu and 3 of the Rahu. And for the traps, also very standard, we have 1 Horn, 1 Flame. So very, very simple, basic Dracotail lineup. And then for the interesting cards, first of all, 3 King of the Swamp, 1 Polymerization. There are packages that just play 2 and 1, and I think that's fine. In this particular list, I want 3 because I want to see King of the Swamp because it bridges me into my branded engine. I'm going to show you that later. And also, I just really like having another way to fuse. And King of the Swamp with any name also does the Seals combo, and I think with this deck, you want to do the Seals combo going first because it's the most flexible and powerful end board you can do. And King of the Swamp is just another way of fusing 2 from hand, because once you have to fuse the Lucias from field, or you have to use Rahu to start, then you no longer are able to go for the Seals. So I want to do this. And the King of the Swamp not only helps you with consistency, helps you going second because of Poly being such a powerful card, it also kind of helps you with your sealing, because the fact that it substitutes for any material means you have so much flexibility in the extra deck with options in addition to your Dracotail cards if you have more engine that you need. Next up, more ways to fuse. We have Cartesia at 3. This can be a 2 because you don't really want to see multiples of it. I really want to see the card, but I can see this being any other tech slot, like another Urgula, another Pan. But this is also the best Seals enabler, because normal summoning this with any name makes Seals plus normal summoning this with either Lucias or 5 mana or Kitu means you end on Seals plus Gulamel plus both traps plus a 5 mana in hand, and that's just all you can ask for. So, and it also is a recurring material. I can already say I don't run the Shadows. I want every card in my hand to be live as much as possible, and the Shadows are only good if you play. So I do not run it. I can see the third one just being a random beast, because if you see it, you like it. But I think for a Shadow, you want the more dedicated build. But Cartesia is the card that just gives me the value back by just coming bad every turn, and then that's good enough. Then for the non-engine, I have 3 Ash Blossom, I have 3 Fualos. I think these are just very safe includes. I have 3 Nibiru. I think Nibiru is just really good, especially going first. They can never kill you if you have Nibiru. Nibiru also, if it tributes the board, you can just bring your Gulamel back if it's in the grave already. And Nibiru also is what I call a ceiling capper. So Dracotail in engine is extremely good at breaking boards, but obviously if you go against Crystron Canaan and do the full Omni Negate board, then you cannot do anything. Or you play against the Fiendsmith deck and they have an Engraver and a Necroquip, and they want to go for Caesar. That's a spot where you nip, because Caesar is really, really strong against this deck. So Nibiru just also caps Yami out of the Herald oftentimes, which is the strongest card against the deck and the standard Yami board you don't really have an issue with, just because of the way this deck interacts. So I think Nibiru is a really, really good hand trap in this deck just for that. Just force your opponent into boards that you can easily break with your engine. And in the same vein, I also run Droll. This was the last included in the non-engine. I was thinking about running a K9 package here, and then the third Cartesia would be the Lupus. And you can say that the Droll conflicts with the Fualos, but in testing, I think having a Droll against Vanquish Soul, if they don't go for a Paradise Smasher line right after, I think is good enough at keeping the board low so that you can attempt to break it. And then against Mitsu Raisiel, this is extremely impactful. Obviously, that deck has so many pushes, so if you go first, they can often break your board easily, so having a Droll there is really nice, and obviously the Artharion can loop the Droll. So that is my logic for including Droll. Feel free to include any hand trap that you like here. And then for the last two slots here in the deck, I have a Fallen of Albaz and a Branded Fusion. These are just randomly in there. This is just a very, very powerful card. This is also a starter for your Dracotail engine, because you can just sell Mueller and the Fallen of Albaz. Fallen of Albaz obviously is a requirement for the Branded Fusion, but is also a target for seals. So if you seals and you have an opportune spot, you can summon the Albaz and fuse their monster away. But generally we just have this because King of the Swamp can double as Albaz. So you have a lot of spots where you can just make a Mirror Jade through King of the Swamp, then you send Albion, and then you add back Branded Fusion for the crackback. And Branded Fusion with nothing left, if you don't have anything, you just have a Branded Fusion and a discard, can get you a full setup on the crackback while negating things and such. So I think this is worth. It's just two slots. It's very cheap, and Branded Fusion in general is an extremely good draw. And Albaz as a draw is not the best, but it's still a dragon, so that helps with the attribute. And then if you fuse it away, you can just because both Lubellion and Albion are dragons, 5 mana can also just make that, and you get into a Mirror Jade that way. So it's not a terrible draw, and I think with how many cards in this deck are live, I think the only bricks being these two and Albaz is really, really good, whereas the rest of the deck just plays or is non-engine. So that is the main deck, clean 40 here. If you want to add a 41st card, again, if you want to play the K9 package, the odds don't change that much because all the important cards here are at 3. I believe for 3-offs, if you go from 40 to 41, would be you go from 33.7% to clean 33%. So 41 is also an option, but this is 40 right now. And now for the extra deck, we have 3 of the Arthalion. I would always max this out unless you have some weird hybrid deck, but this is your most important resource. In the mirror, whoever runs out of this first generally loses, and this just recycles so much. And in the grind game, the more simplified the game set is, the stronger this becomes. So I would definitely just max this out. I have 1 Gulamel. I haven't missed the second one, but I think it can also come up, so I'm arguing over just including the second one again. We'll get to the flex slots later, but for now it's 1. I just wanted to try how it feels, and so far it was okay. We have the Secretarian Dragon. I have to make a public apology. I thought this card was the most toxic thing on earth. I think this card is very interesting. I think it's very cool. The Floodgate effect, usually in the mirror, if you just go your first turn and try to summon this, I think you will lose. But you can, your opponent goes into a summon and they want to Arthalion in that spot. You see that they are going for an Arthalion line. You can chain your own 5 mana, make this, and they have to pivot away from it. So you're not floodgating it, you just force him to do something else, and I think that's really healthy. And most of the time, though, I just use the revive effect too. You just revive anything you need, shuffle back something else, gets you resources back, gets you a body. If that is Lucius, you get a search, and you have a lot of options with this. You can also just make seals right after if you want. And then Mysterion. Now, Mysterion I've seen some people cut it, and I think that is so incorrect. This card, if you know what you're doing, this card can be incredible. So you can just, at any point where your opponent activates an effect to summon monsters, be it Obedience or Mitsurugi effect to summon, you can chain your fusion effects, go into this, and then immediately banish that monster. I had a game against Vanquish Soul where they went Caesar, as we knew their hand, so that was the last push they had. So we just made this, and that sealed the deal. Just banish the Caesar on summon. Then we have the one Spirit with the Eyes of Blue, which is required to make the seals play. And we have SP Little Knight for spot removal. We have these bodies for free a lot of the times, so I just think that is a good option to have. And for the polymerization, we have the Guardian Chimera. This card is incredible. It's my favorite card, you know that. Going second, just having another target to fuse into first. You go poly, you make this, you go to Chainlink 4 and you pop the board, plus you negate the board with Mululu, you pop something with Pants, with Urgula, and I don't know, you just get all your spell trap set. This card is so good going second. Then for the brand package, I think the minimum is these three, because right now we don't have the light Dracotail that is coming in the next set, so we cannot make this easily here, but the Lubellion is just Mululu plus the Albaz. And generally you want to have this in the extra deck. You go into the Mirror Jade and then you send this and you get a brand fusion as a follow-up and just go off from there. This can also be very flexible because it's just a generic summon, right? It doesn't just summon Mirror Jade. You can just shuffle back your King of the Swamp and make other fusions with it, which is very cool. For that, a lot of people on Dragoon. I actually recently cut Dragoon for the Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. Now, if you don't know what this does, this can attack every monster your opponent controls, and this is unaffected by traps. And after the damage step, once per turn, you can, when this card battled, you can set a trap from your grave. This card re-establishes your trap chain, and it's also very good at clearing boards. It's just a very, very good value card, I think. My problem with Dragoon, even though it is a house of a card, is I think this card is very expensive for Dragoon, discarding to negate, and I generally only made it into matchups that don't that have a hard time outing an untargetable indestructible monster. So I want to try out this, and this is pretty nice. And on the last slot, this is the flex slot. This was a Mirror Jade, that was the Gulamel before. I wanted to try out Albiang the Sanctifier Dragon, because sometimes when you already have combo, you can branded fusion sending Cartesia and Fallen of Albaz just for this. This is not targetable, so in some matchup it can also just clear, and every opponent turn you can summon one monster from your grave, and you can summon two monsters, one to your side, one to your opponent's side. That is very nice with your effects. You can get a Lucius to add a 5 mana to hand. You can just get a Mululu to get a Mululu fuse and the negate. You can summon back the Cartesia itself to fuse. You can summon Fallen of Albaz to fuse something away and then make a Mirror Jade. So you have a lot of option, and the most toxic one is if you went for a Seals line, your Seals can go into Albaz and you have a 5 mana, and if you have a Cartesia or a King of the Swamp, you can make this, and they activate anything to special summon a monster. You chain it like a Mitsurugi ritual, right? You chain this, you give them the Spirit with the Eyes of Blue, now they're locked into dragons. Have fun. I haven't done that yet, but it sounds really toxic, so I wanted to try it. And I think against matchups like Mitsu, Ryzeal, which have infinite pushes, this could be a way to help with that matchup. But that's the flag slot. Obviously, if you want to do anything with these two slots, feel free to do whatever. I'm just trying this out. These probably won't stay in the deck next week, or maybe they do, I don't know. King of the Swamp is a very cool card. last, for the side deck, we have the Malice tax. We have... we can't play Chaos Hunter here. I had Chaos Hunter in here first, in addition to the Lancia, but just like Dragoon, Chaos Hunter discards a card, and in Dracotail, going Chaos Hunter means you have 3 cards in hand. That is a death sentence. You don't want to do that. So Chaos Hunter is not really great in this deck. Generally, just a small excursion here. I've seen lists with a lot more hand traps, and those are viable. I'm just not a fan because once you start hand trapping your opponent, your hand size shrinks, and the way you can push gets diminished hard. So I like to have just enough hand traps to keep my opponent on half boards, and then the rest of the deck just pushes through the rest. I think that has been a good recipe for now. Our designated going first card is Solemn Warning. I think this is just the best Solemn card at the moment. So, negates every summon, very good against Mitsu. And then we have 3 Bestials. Magnamut is main deckable on this because it searches Mululu. I just felt Mululu is not high enough quality of a starter to say that Magna is auto-include. And against Vanquish Soul, it's not the greatest, for example. Generally, against Yummy, sometimes it helps, but oftentimes they can extend through it. So I didn't feel like it was a main deckable auto-include. Since we don't run Chaos Hunter, I run Phantasme. This also goes into the Mallet matchup. Just they summon links, you draw, you try to find either your Lancia before it's too late, or you try to find Femena or Nibiru or something. Against Yummy, this is also nice. If they link, you just summon this. This can negate targeted effects, and this also threatens the Herald of the Arclight, which is the most important piece in that matchup. So I like Phantasme so far. And for the last slots, we have 2 Ogre. This is because of siding patterns, because when we go second, we always side out 2 Cartesia, plus sometimes a trap. And in most matchups, when I went through it, we just sided 2 or 5, depending on what we do here. And yeah, that slot was the Cartesia, so I just wanted a 2 off. That is good into a lot of matchups, and this is good into a lot of matchups. And then the last card, because we had this weird ratio, I just wanted to throw in 1 card that is maybe comes up. Maybe it was like, I was thinking about this being Mega Fleet. I was thinking about just throwing in a Called By, but you don't really care about like hand traps, so it wasn't Called By. So what I just put in was the Koakime Drago. If we go into Seals, we can just, against Malice and Mitsu, just summon this, and they cannot summon Dark Monsters. And if they try to attack over it, we have the Dracotail Horn to bounce their attacker normal summon, and they cannot get over this, and that's very, very fun. This only denies light and dark, so what you do is you just make Arthalion, which is an earth, so you auto this. Alright, that's it for the main deck and the extra and the side deck. So that was the deck profile. Let me know what you think of the deck. If you like the small branded idea, let me know what version you're running, and I'll see you in the next video.